Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I'm JT Holmes. I'm here with a good friend, Dan Schilling from Alta, Utah. And Dan, thanks for coming.
Yep, thanks for having me on, JT. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to talking.
So Dan's background is Air Force Special Operations, and now he's writing books. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? And
yeah, so I spent 30 years doing special ops and around the globe. Most people know me from a notoriety standpoint. Most of my career is classified, but Black Hawk Down was an operation that I was on, and was part of the History Channel and the book of the same name, and even consulted on the movie. But I did that for many, many years. And then 2 years ago, my wife and I retired and moved back to Alta, and we're never relocating.
So you love Utah?
I love Utah, and I love Park City. Like, Park City is just a dynamic culture. It converges a lot of different elements that you wouldn't normally get in a small mountain town, and I think that's what puts it on the map.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Now, it's a fairly interesting story, the way we met. Let's hear your version of.
Yeah, so I've known JT for, we've known each other for 15 or 16 years, and I was having a quiet dinner one evening, and 3 people with parachutes landed in my backyard, and I said, those are base jumpers. And I'd been looking forward to base jumping for many years. I've been a professional skydiver for decades, and you guys landed in the backyard, and we've been buddies ever since.
True story. Yeah, that was pretty serendipitous. And what drove you? You wrote your first book. It was called The Battle of Mogadishu. It's the same battle as Black Hawk Down. Tell us about the format. Tell us about where the money went, and the experience of writing your first book.
Yeah, so on the heels of Black Hawk Down, there was a lot of interest in special ops. It's long before the current and longest war in American history. And the events of Black Hawk Down, which was actually, to me, known as Operation Gothic Serpent, really got a lot of attention based on the dramatic aspects of it. I mean, this is 200 guys in a city of 1 million people fighting for their lives and trying to prosecute this mission. So when I got out of the military the first time, and the book Black Hawk Down came out, we got another book deal to write our first-person accounts of what happened, which is what we did. And that's what the Battle of Mogadishu is about. It's 6 first-hand accounts from guys who were really there. But for me, a big driving factor in that effort was to raise money for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. And the Special Operations Warrior Foundation is swf.org, if you're interested in looking it up, or for viewers. We provide college educations for kids who've lost a parent in special operations. And I tend to donate to them very often because I've lost a lot of friends in special ops. So I'm lucky to be alive. And on the heels of that, that's why I went and set my base jumping world record, was as a charity fundraiser for Special Operations Warrior Foundation.
Very cool. So that's swf.org.
SOWF.
SOWF.org. Now, Dan has a real deal, awesome, legit world record. It's not like he's, the first gray-haired bald man to get to the top of Mount Everest without a pinky finger. He did the most base jumps in 24 hours. It was a lot of base jumps. It was a lot of parachutes to pack. And Dan is completely used to not sleeping, given his background. Yep. He performed well the whole entire time. Why don't you give us a little bit of beta on that experience?
That was, it was one of the epic days in my life. I was really fortunate to have a great crew of people surrounding me. You were the guy who ran my packing jobs, and you guys did I gave it an A- because we did have a couple of malfunctions early on in the first hour. It almost killed me 3 times, but once we got it ironed out and you guys hit stride, it was smooth right up until I broke my arm about 8 hours in, and we just kept right on rolling. And for us, it was this wonderful, wonderful dynamic where everybody came together to raise money for these kids who really deserve, if you're an American, your support, because they're so disadvantaged when you lose a parent in the military, and people in the military don't make that much money. But to have everybody come together and do this really dynamic, physically challenging and emotionally invested and psychologically demanding event was just, it was an epic day in my life. And I don't use the word epic too much, but for me, I've had a couple of epic days, and that's right at the very top.
Well, I must admit that in the beginning, we did get a little bit behind on the pack jobs, and because he had this crane that he had negotiated to be set up to pull him out of the Snake River Canyon so he could jump off the bridge, the Prime Memorial Bridge in Twin Falls, Idaho. And we figured he'd be doing about 10-minute laps, and that was going to be enough pace to get him to his goal of 200. But man, it turned out to be 5 or 6, and we were just packing those parachutes as quick as we could, and crossing our fingers when he'd jump off. And
there was some exciting pack jobs.
Yeah, there were some exciting pack jobs.
Hours.
Hey, we have a video. Let's go ahead and check out the video.
Cool.
This was produced by Park City Television.
Yeah, that's what's so dynamic about it. Is, I mean, it's so great to be on the show, and this clip that you're watching right now was filmed by Park City TV back in 2006 on July 4th weekend when I set the world record. And it's just a montage of the whole event, and it was really well done.
Pre-beard.
Yeah.
Nice little platform.
No white hair.
No hesitation.
And that's actually my official Guinness World Record base jump counter guy. It's my nephew, Dwayne.
So he's just sitting there counting.
Yeah, he's counting one jump after another. And to keep me straight from the other base jumpers, they put a dog collar on me with a little flashing red light.
Oh, yeah?
So I was, I guess, collared.
Yeah, and we all just, like, that was one of my parachutes that I loaned you.
Yeah, and that was, that was another great thing about this whole event was the fact that people donated parachutes. I had 24 parachutes, most of which came from other folks. I only had a couple. And just everyone donating their time to packing parachutes and handling media and working with the safety officials. It was just a fantastic day, and Park City TV did just such a great job with this video.
And it looks like your arm is now broken.
Yes. Yeah, that was operator error.
And what time did we start? We started in the evening, worked through the night, and then you finished in the afternoon before rush hour, is that correct?
Yeah, we, and that was partially driven by the need to mitigate like traffic congestion. You can see the crane on top of the bridge, and it just slowed traffic to a crawl, which was one of their big concerns. There's my broken wrist. But
however, I noticed that people were stoked. They weren't cursing us for being there. It was a special treat to know that a world record was going down for such a great cause.
And we had I think I had made these base jumping world record Special Operations Warrior Foundation shirts, and I had like 200 of them made. And they sold out in an hour. I should have bought 1,000 because we donated, that money went to the Warrior Foundation too. And people were trying to buy the shirts off of crew members who would not part with them for any amount of money. And it was just such a positive dynamic. And Twin Falls is an all-American city. It's in the heartland of the country, and they're very patriotic there. And it was just, everybody was wonderful.
We had great day, great weather. I remember wind was pretty much not a factor.
No, and our crane would spin, as you can see on the video.
All of us base jumpers that were packing parachutes for you, we would be on a rotation, and I think I did 27 jumps or something.
It was
great. Pretty fun.
Yeah, because everybody, all the base jumpers that were supporting my effort, they'd hop in the crane basket with me, and we'd make jumps together. But like you said, I would just jump after jump after jump, and
mostly this Salt Lake and Park City base jumping crews is a very active area for base jumping here. You've got 15 or 16 cliffs along the Wasatch Front that are quite popular and user-friendly for base jumping, and legal, which is nice.
Yep.
And rare.
And important.
And
if
then
you
of
have
course,
a top secret security clearance, it's handy if it's legal.
And you have the bridge just 3 hours away. So this is a wonderful place to be a parachutist in general. You got 2 skydiving centers, Ogden and Tooele. That's another one of my parachutes. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Well, and
Smith
also
Optics.
to Smith. Yeah,
yep, thanks to Smith Optics.
Yeah, it was a great day, and that's me, obviously plugging the Warrior Foundation. But man, it was just a great day because so many great friends, and you're one of them. Like having you run all the packing jobs and just be there to keep, wrangle the base jumpers, which are not an easily herded group of people.
Trying to keep them focused and get those parachutes packed. Dano, it looks like you've leaned out a little bit in your. In the last 12, 15 years. Is that accurate, or is that the camera adding a couple?
It's the camera. The camera adds pounds, man.
Okay, you look good. You look good anyways.
That's obviously one of my, the Trusty Junior. I love that parachute. No, but I was a squadron commander. We were heavily involved in the war already. I was a squadron.
That was the
commander.
last jump right there.
Yeah.
He put it in the water because it was hot.
I was cooked, man.
Yeah. I was trying to get you to do a few more.
Yeah, I know. You were the only guy pushing me, but to be fair, the law enforcement people were so gracious to us because they'd never closed a lane on the bridge ever for any event in the history of the bridge. And a lot of people had approached them with desires to do this, that, or the other. Red Bull wanted to do an air race under the bridge, and other people had different ideas. And man, did I have to do a sales job on the Idaho transportation people. And they believed in what we were doing, and they supported us, and it just made a huge difference. Everybody came together. It was just a wonderful day.
If there's one thing I know about my friend Dan Schilling is he's got some people skills. And he went in there and twisted their arm and walked out of there with permission to close the lane. And anyway, it was a world record, and it was an absolutely killer day.
Well, enough about me. I think we should talk about this other guy that is coming up next year that I'm writing about.
Yes,
if we have
absolutely. We do have time. Tell us about John Chapman.
So John Chapman is a gentleman I'm writing a book about, and he comes out here. The book comes out next spring. And John Chapman was killed in Afghanistan in 2002. And he was an Air Force Special Operations guy. Most people don't know that the deadliest humans to ever walk a battlefield in the history of human warfare are actually Air Force Special Operations guy. They control more, they have more power over life and death with precision air power than anybody in the history of warfare. So John Chapman was one of these guys. And John went to Afghanistan in 2002. He was working with SEAL Team 6 at the time. This has been in the press a lot in the last year or so. But he was on top of a mountain in March at 10,000 feet, freezing weather, and he got shot after having saved the lives of 6 fellow SEAL Team 6 members that he was working with. And again, John's an Air Force guy. And John got shot in the course of this, and the SEALs thought he was dead, and they left him on the mountain for dead, which was just a battlefield call. No one's judging them for what happened, but in fact, John was alive. And after the SEALs retreated, and he had saved all of their lives by charging into this machine gun nest, which is how he got shot the first time. He fought for an hour and 4 minutes alone on this mountain, having been shot up to 14 times and having survived hand-to-hand combat against 24 hardened Chechen and Uzbek fighters. Well, he's in this little bunker holding out against all odds when a rescue helicopter with 18 more Americans comes in to rescue the SEALs, not knowing that John's even on the mountain. And John made this remarkably, amazingly courageous decision to climb out of this bunker, having survived hand-to-hand combat and 14 gunshot wounds, to take on these Taliban guys and Al-Qaeda fighters, and he saved the lives of these 18 guys that came to rescue them all at the cost of his life, literally got shot to pieces. Some amazing, compelling story. And John's going to be the first Air Force Medal of Honor in 46 years, and he will be receiving, his widow will be receiving this next month or perhaps August at the White House. We're very excited about it. I'm very honored to write John's biography and tell the story of these unknown special operations guys. Everyone knows about SEALs. Everyone knows about Green Berets. Nobody knows about Air Force Special Operations guys who keep these missions together. So I'm very pleased to be able to do that, and honored and humbled to be his biographer. I knew John because we were in the same line of work.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Truly is. And who are you working with on the book? You got agents, you got a co-author,
Yeah, so actually the book project came to me when I retired after 30 years of special ops. I didn't really want to do any more writing on the military. I write novels now full time, and John Chapman's sister, the guy in question, we met through a mutual friend, and she was looking for help, and I realized I needed to write this book, and spent 20 months researching it. The great thing for me as an author in this case is I'm not a journalist. I'm a special ops guy from the black community, black special ops community. So these missions were being commanded by a Delta Force officer who was a friend of mine. We had Delta Force teams and SEAL teams out there, and I knew all the principals involved, including the other Air Force combat controllers who were out on this big mission, which was the first major campaign America ventured into at the beginning of the war.
Awesome. Amazing to have somebody who knows the life so well telling the story. I look forward to read it. Does the book have a name, and when will it come out?
So the book will be out next spring. If you're watching this, you should buy many copies of this book. One of the interesting things about being an author is you don't actually control the title of your own book.
Interesting.
So the title is still in question. I believe it will be called The Controller. The movie rights are sold. I get to help with the screenplay and be a producer on the movie. I'm very excited about that.
You'll be at the White House as well, won't you?
And I'll be at the White House as well, which I'm looking forward to, because John's recognition has been 16 years in coming, and it'll be great to get closure for his family.
Well, thank you for writing the book, and thank you for your service to our country. And I believe that we have Andrew McLean coming next, but it's been, and Tom Kelly. It's been absolutely killer to reflect on that world record day, and thank you for coming on the Mountain Morning Show.
Yeah,
Will you be back?
I'll be back whenever they would like me to come back. I just live around the corner. And hey, thanks for having me on, JT. It's great hanging out with you, and I appreciate those sketchy pack jobs at the beginning of that world.
Hey man, just doing my best. You're a tough guy. I figured you could handle it.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Dan. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with Andrew McLean.